Let's go to Charles Woods. This is the father of the Navy SEAL that was killed in Benghazi, Tyrone Woods, as he explains what happened with the president, the Secretary of State, and Joe Biden came up to him on the tarmac of Andrews Air Force Base just a few days after his son was dead. This is critically important that this audio and video get out. It's available at the Blaze. Listen carefully.
As you probably know, I'm a retired attorney. For 6 years, I was an administrative law judge. And, you know, during the several thousands of cases that I heard, my job was to decide who was telling the truth and who wasn't. You heard the clip that I said that there were 4 pods at Andrews Air Force Base with the 4 different families. And when he finally came over to where we were, you know, I could tell that he was a rather conflicted person who was not at peace with himself. And, you know, he shaking hands with him, quite frankly, was like shaking hands with a dead fish. His face was pointed towards me, but he would not look me in the eye. His eyes were over my shoulder, and not in a forceful voice. Said, you know, I'm really sorry about this, Mr. Wood. That was not the way he did it. And I could tell that he was not sorry. He had no remorse. I also mentioned with Hillary, you know, that
before you go on Hillary, because what she said, I think, is extremely important. But how do you know that? I mean, have you given enough thought? I'm trying to give the president a benefit of doubt, and I really, quite honestly, I despise this man. But let's be honest and give him the benefit of doubt.
Anything, Glenn.
How do you? What makes you think that he? I mean, look. I have to be with a guy who just received the Congressional Medal of Honor in about an hour from now, and I have to introduce him. And I said to my staff, they said, hey, you're going to introduce this guy? And I said, why would you do that? And they said, we thought you would love that. And I said, I hate introducing these guys because I am so uncomfortable being in front of these guys who are such heroes. Now, people will see my awkwardness around people like that, even like Marcus Luttrell or your son, and they might take it one way when really it is just that I'm so humbled by them. So what makes you think that the president just was not sorry?
Demeanor, sir. Let me say something else, and I'll ask you this question. Are these the words of someone who's really sorry? The vice president was also there. He came by, and he introduced himself. This is before the president came by. He came over to our little pod of people. And he says, I'm Joe Biden. And then he said, I'm, quote, unquote, I'd received one of these, quote, damn phone calls when he had lost a family member. And then about a half hour later, he actually came over and approached me. And these are the exact words he said. I do not speak like this. Quote, says, in an extremely loud and boisterous voice, he said, did your son always have balls the size of cue balls? I will ask you the question. Is that the voice of someone who is truly sorry?
I don't know. Maybe he was, I don't know.
Okay. And
stop for a second. My wife and I watched this. Stop for a second. My wife and I watched this last night, and my wife said, when I hesitated, because I'm trying desperately to give these guys the benefit of the doubt, thinking Joe Biden is just a crass ass. And so, yes, it could be he's just crass. And I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. And my wife looks at me disgusted. And she's like, the answer is no. The answer is no. And I'm like, honey, I can't change what I said on television at this point. You don't have to yell at me about it. But, I mean, it's...
You were searching, and you found nothing.
Found nothing.
For no way to answer him in a way that would justify
Barack Obama doesn't look the man in the eye. He doesn't look him in the eye. Mm. And then Joe Biden comes and says, hey, do your son always have... That's incredible. Just incredible.
It's certainly not presidential, and it's not vice presidential. These are not... We've talked about this many times. These are not the adults in the room.
No, they're not. Now, here is the most damning part, and it is about what Hillary Clinton said. Now, remember, the story at the time was this was not a terrorist attack. Okay? This was all about a video. But now they're trying to convince you that no, they said that it was a terrorist attack all along. They knew. These are the people that were killed in the terrorist attack that they knew because we now have the documents, and they watched them die without launching anybody. They watched them die. And they're trying to convince you now that they knew all along that it was a terrorist attack, and that's what they had been saying. But listen to what Hillary Clinton told him on the tarmac.
Okay. As an administrative law judge, my job was to decide who's telling the truth and who isn't.
Okay.
But in this case, I'm not the judge.
I just want you to know, Charles, I'm not. I just want to give the benefit of the doubt to everybody.
Okay, and I would give the benefit of the doubt too. That's why I was so quiet and chose not to say anything until you made public this information.
Yes.
Regarding that.
And here's the part.
I'm conflicted about making a statement. I originally vacillated and was not going to. I talked with my wife over in Oregon this morning, and she said that it would be good for me just to write my thoughts down and to make a statement. And Glenn, if I could I just read this to you? It'll take less than a minute.
Sure.
Okay. I want to honor my son, Ty Woods, who responded to the cries for help and voluntarily sacrificed his life to protect the lives of other Americans. In the last few days, it has become public knowledge that within minutes of the first bullet being fired, the White House knew that these heroes would be slaughtered if immediate air support was denied. Apparently, C-130s were ready to respond immediately. In less than an hour, the perimeters could have been secured and American lives could have been saved. After 7 hours of fighting numerically superior forces, my son's life was sacrificed because of the White House's decision. This has nothing to do with politics. This has to do with integrity and honor. My son was a true American hero. We need more heroes today.
I thought that was incredibly poignant. I mean, you could tell the guy is sincere, and he's not out for political gain or any of that.
He goes on, and we're up against the break, so you have to hear the Hillary Clinton thing here in a minute because we're running out of time. But he goes on after he tells the Hillary Clinton thing to talk about how at peace he is. He's at peace. He's not looking for a pound of flesh. He's not Cindy Sheehan. He's not going to go protest. He was conflicted on whether or not to say anything. When I said, are you going to reach out to the other family members? He said, that's personal, and I don't even want to go there. When you hear him, he talks about God. He talks about faith. He is truly at peace with what happened. He is concerned that there is no honor in the White House. And again, when you hear what Hillary Clinton said, I'm telling you, it is congressional hearing time. This is a bombshell. This is the October surprise. But the media, are they going to cover it? You need to pass it to everybody you know, especially in Ohio and Virginia.